Alright, so this weekend is a UFC fight night. I'm gonna start with Mark Casey versus Joel Alvarez at lightweight. Mark Casey has a career record of 16-6. In his last three fights, he beat Vyacheslav Borshev by unanimous decision. He beat Damir Hadzovic by unanimous decision. And in his last fight, he lost to Michael Johnson by unanimous decision. Well, Joel Alvarez has a career record of 19-3. In his last three fights, he beat Alexander Yakovlev by first round submission. Then he beat Thiago Moses by first round TKO. And in his last fight, he lost to Arman Sarukian by second round TKO. I think that Alvarez will get a late third round knockout in this fight. The next fight will be Davy Grant versus Daniel Marcos at bantamweight. Davy Grant has a career record of 15-6. In his last three fights, Davy Grant lost to Andre Yanez by split decision. He beat Louis Smolka by third round knockout. And in his last fight, he beat Rafael Assunção by third round technical submission. Well, Daniel Marcos has a career record of 14-0. He is currently undefeated, and he beat Simon Oliveira by second round knockout in his UFC debut. But I feel like Davy Grant is too much of a step up. He has good wins over guys that are just outside of the top 15. So I'm going to choose Davy Grant in this one by decision. Next will be a featherweight fight between Lerone Murphy and Joshua Kalibau. Lerone Murphy has a career record of 12-0 with one draw. In his last three fights, he beat Douglas Silva de Andrade by unanimous decision. Then he beat Makwan Amirkhani by second round knockout. And in his last fight, he beat Gabriel Santos by split decision. While Joshua Kalibau has a career record of 11-1 with one draw. In his last three fights, he beat Nurdambiki Shailan by unanimous decision. He beat Shangwoo Chu by split decision. Then he beat Belsik Bangdasarian by second round submission. Now, this is a great matchup that I think could go either way. And whoever wins will probably be in the featherweight rankings next week. But I'm going to slightly side with Lerone Murphy by decision. The next fight will be Jai Herbert versus Fares Ziam at lightweight. Jai Herbert has a career record of 12-4 with one draw. In his last three fights, he lost to Ilya Topuria by second round knockout. He beat Kyle Nelson by unanimous decision. And in his last fight, he fought Ludwig Klein to a majority draw. Well, Fares Ziam has a career record of 13-4. In his last three fights, he beat Luigi Vendramini by majority decision. Lost to Terrence McKinney by first round submission. And in his last fight, he beat Michael Figlag by unanimous decision. I'm going to be picking Jai Herbert in this fight by second round knockout. The next fight will be Paul Craig versus Andre Muniz at middleweight. Paul Craig has a career record of 16-6 and one draw. In his last three fights, he beat Nikita Krylov by first round submission. Then he lost to Volkan Ozdemir by unanimous decision. And in his last fight, he lost to Johnny Walker by first round TKO. Well, Andre Muniz has a career record of 23-5, and he is currently ranked 14th at middleweight. In his last three fights, he beat Eric Anders by first round submission. He beat Uriah Hall by unanimous decision. Then in his last fight, he lost to Brandon Allen by third round submission. This is an interesting fight because in Muniz's last fight, he lost to Allen by submission. And Craig is a submission specialist. but Paul Craig is usually a light heavyweight, which, unless something happens in the next couple days, this fight is supposed to be taking place at middleweight. And at the point that Paul Craig in his career, I do not like fighters going down in weight because it usually affects them negatively. And because of that, I think Nunez will be able to catch a more depleted Craig in the first round and be able to knock him out in the first round. The next fight will be Nathaniel Wood versus Andre Fili at featherweight. Nathaniel Woods has a career record of 19-5, and in his last 3 fights, he lost to Casey Kenny by unanimous decision. Then he beat Charles Rosa by unanimous decision. And in his last fight, he beat Charles Jourdain by unanimous decision. So Wood has a 2-fight win streak against guys named Charles. While Andre Fili has a career record of 22-9 with a no contest. In his last 3 fights, he had a no contest with Daniel Pineda after an accidental eye poke. Then he lost to Joe Anderson Brito by first round TKO. And in his last fight, he beat Bill Algetto by a split decision. In this fight, I'm going to be choosing Nathaniel Wood by decision. The next fight is going to be Molly McCann versus Julia Inco in women's flyweight. Molly McCann has a career record of 13-5. In her last 3 fights, she beat Luana Caroline by 3rd round knockout. She beat Hannah Goldie by 1st round TKO. And in her last fight, she lost to Erin Blanchfield by 1st round submission. Julia has a career record of 10-7 with 2 draws. In her last 3 fights, she lost to Alexa Davis by unanimous decision. Then she beat Jessica Rose Clark by 1st round submission. Then she lost to Chelsea Chandler by 1st round TKO. So in this fight, I'm going to be choosing Molly McCann by decision. The main event will be Tom Aspinall versus Marcin Tybura in the heavyweight division. Tom Aspinall has a career record of 12-3 and is currently ranked 5th in the heavyweight division. In his last 3 fights, he beat Sergey Spivak by 1st round TKO. Then he beat Alexander Volkov by 1st round submission. And in his last fight, he tore his ACL very early on, which resulted in a loss to Curtis Blades. Well, Tybura has a career record of 24-7, and he is currently ranked 10th in the heavyweight division. And in his last 3 fights, he lost to Alexander Volkov by unanimous decision. Then he beat Alexander Romanov by majority decision. And in his last fight, he beat Bligoy Ivanov by unanimous decision. So in this fight, I'm going to be choosing Tom Aspinall by 1st round knockout. But that's just my opinion on this card. Let me know what you think.